Tectonic plates with Benny the burrowing owl. Benny is a burrowing owl who lives in a burrow. Well, not just one burrow. In fact, Benny makes many burrows, about 14 a day. You may think that's crazy, but he's been doing it since he was just an owlet, so he has a lot of practice with that sort of thing. One day, Benny was really tired by the time he had made his 11th burrow. This was unusual for Benny to become tired after only completing 11 burrows, but it was for a good reason. He was quite picky with the way he wanted his burrows, so he had made about 17, but some of them he scrapped. Benny still wanted to make a burrow, but he was too tired. Benny sighed and said, "I wish that I didn't have to make myself a burrow." Then, all of a sudden, the ground started to shake. It was an earthquake. Once the rumbling stopped, there was a hole just deep enough for a burrow. "This is great," Benny thought to himself. "Too bad I'm too tired to dig out the rest of the burrow." Benny was still mesmerized that the earthquake just made him a hole just deep enough to have a burrow, when all of a sudden the ground starts to shake again. Then the room hollows out. Benny was amazed that the earthquakes were pretty much making his burrow for him perfectly. But Benny realized that the hollowed out burrow was just a little bit too small for his liking, and it had no furniture. Benny sighed because he was going to have to move all the furniture from his other burrow to his new one. But then all of a sudden the ground moved, but nothing happened to his burrow. He then smelled the ocean and looked up. His burrow was getting flooded by a tsunami created by the earthquakes. When the flood emptied, Benny was amazed yet again. The tsunami brought in all the furniture from one of his main burrows. The burrow was also hollowed out to the perfect width. But instead of feeling grateful that he didn't have to move all the furniture or hollow out the burrow anymore, Benny was feeling quite cold due to all the water that had flooded his burrow. Benny was really cold, but at that moment, before he could even say anything, the ground started to feel a lot warmer. Benny looked around for the source and then saw it. There was magma coming out of the ground. It was then Benny remembered that the earthquake that had made his burrow was on a hot spot. Benny was quite sad that his burrow and all the furniture that he had worked so hard to get was gone now. And in the process, he got burned. Now he was going to have to work to get all his furniture back. It was also hard for him to fly with his burnt tail. Benny didn't have enough energy to make another burrow, so he decided to tell his friends all about all that happened that day. He thought, who better to tell than someone who knows a lot about this kind of thing? So he decided to go to Professor Polar Bear's house. Professor Polar Bear was happy to see Benny again. The last time they met up was last winter. She invited Benny inside, and Benny told her all about the earthquakes that he had been experiencing, and even the magma that came up. The professor listened intently, and then Benny said that he would like to know all about these things that were happening to him. Professor Polar Bear agreed to teach him. She was excited to share her knowledge, so they went down to the basement where there was a big screen. The professor could tell that Benny was excited. She started by telling Benny all about plate tectonics and how they cover the entire Earth. She showed him a diagram of the most important tectonic plates worldwide. She also told Benny that we live on the Juan Fica plate. Benny asked how we could tell that there was tectonic plates. She replied that it was a theory by a man named Alfred Wagner in 1912. She also told Benny that the continents moved due to all the plates moving around. She told Benny that most earthquakes occurred near plate boundaries, which is a gap between two plates. She explained that faults, which are the fractures between two blocks of rock, allow the rock to move relative to each other. Then she mentioned the Pacific Ring of Fire, where many earthquakes and volcanic eruptions take place. It is the shape of a horseshoe that stretches 40,000 kilometers long. She also tells about the 4 different layers of Earth, such as crust, mantle, outer core, and inner core. After Benny learned all about tectonic plates, he asked the professor how earthquakes occur. She told him that they happen when 2 plates rub against each other, and pointed him to a video showing what they do. She explained that most earthquakes occur underwater. Then Benny asked about the different types of earthquakes and which ones hit to make the burrow. She said there was 3 different types of earthquakes. Their names are divergent, convergent, and transverse. The earthquakes that hit your burrow started with a divergent that separated the ground. The next was a transverse to make your burrow a little wide, and then the third was a convergent that loosened up the dirt for the tsunami to take out at the same time, bringing in all of your furniture. Oops. Benny's next question was how the magma came out of the floor. She explained that he had built his new burrow into a volcano, which was unusual because most volcanoes happen underwater. In volcanoes, there is magma, and the volcano pushes out the magma by using convection currents. Benny asked what a convection current was. She pointed him to a video. Her professor told him about mid-ocean ridges, which are underwater mountain ranges. They get formed by the plate tectonics lifting up the seafloor. This occurs when convection currents rise in the mantle underneath oceanic crust and form magma in between the 2 divergent plates. All of this learning made Benny so tired that he fell asleep on Professor Polar Bear's couch. At least he would have somewhere to sleep tonight. The end.